Hey guys, this is Patrick again from napx.com. And mukhang gusto yata talaga iuwi ng OPPO ang Corona bilang best camera phone. At gaya ng sinabi ko dun sa aking OPPO A39 review, which would be linked below. Sobrang nagustuhan ko yung front and back camera niya. At para sa price tag niya na 12,999 pesos, it is, if not the best, one of the most impressive cameras that I have seen on that category. Ngayon kung sobrang mahal ng OPPO A41s para sa inyo, naglabas ng slightly more affordable device ang OPPO, which is this one, the OPPO A39. Now, itong device na to, sobrang kamukha siya ng OPPO F1S and the OPPO F1 Plus. Yun nga lang, of course, marami pa rin naging compromises para mapababa ang presyo nitong OPPO A39. Now, the question is, okay na alternative ba talaga itong OPPO A39 para sa OPPO F1S or even sa OPPO F1 Plus? Or dapat ba kayo tumingin na sa ibang brand if you're looking for a device on this price range? Well, let's figure that out in our full review. Kagaya ng sinabi ko dun sa OPPO A39 initial review namin, which will be linked below, yung device na yun has the same design footprint with almost all of the devices from the company that is out today. Now, this isn't really surprising since most of the smartphone manufacturers today tend to have the same aesthetic pattern across all of their devices that are being released at a particular period of time. With that said, itong OPPO A39 has the same all-metal build at available din sa rose gold at yung review unit na meron tayo ngayon, yung standard gold lang, na merong subtle tone that makes it look like parang brownish gray sa unang tingin. At kagaya rin yung experience ko sa OPPO F1S, lahat ng taong nakakakita na hawak ko tong device na to, akala nila ito ay isang iPhone 6 or 6S. At hindi ko rin sila masisisi since halos lahat talaga ng OPPO device ngayon ay medyo kamukha nga ng smartphone from Apple. Actually, pati nga yung user interface ng device na to is medyo inspired din yata dun sa iOS. But more on that later. Gayun pa man, sobrang nagustuhan ko talaga yung design at build nitong OPPO A39. The device feels solid and feels premium in the hands. It is also relatively light for a 5.2-inch device. And more importantly, medyo makapal siya ng onte, which makes it still look sleek without sacrificing the ergonomics when using the device. Pero kung sobrang clumsy kayo na tao, like ako, OPPO is nice enough to include a clear protective case that can safeguard your device from accidental scratches or minor drops without concealing the looks of the device. Nung ngayon sa harap, meron tayong 5.2-inch HD IPS display that is covered with 2.5D Corning Gorilla Glass 4. Now, itong panel na to ay meron 1280 by 720 resolution and being populated by 282 pixels per inch. Now, the colors are great without the existence of any software manipulation or oversaturation. Contrast is also impressive, the blacks are deep as usual, and the sharpness is also good. Now, siguro yung iba maghahanap talaga ng 1080p panel, pero for the device na to, yung 720p ay sasapat na talaga para sa ganitong klase ng device. At sobrang hindi mo rin mapapansin yung difference kung sakali nga na 1080p itong device na to. Now, dito naman tayo sa chin ng device, makikita natin yung isa sa major compromises ng A39 from the F1S. Yun ay yung kakulangan ng fingerprint scanner. Instead, binigyan tayo ng OPPO ng tatlong capacitive buttons. I mean, of course, these buttons work really well since capacitive sila. Yun nga lang, hindi sila backlit. So, kung first time mo parang gagamitin ng device na to at ginagamit mo siya kunwari sa isang madilim na lugar, medyo mahirap ma-distinguish sa una kung ano ba yung button na dapat mong pinutin. Dahil nga hindi siya umiilaw. But after a few days of usage, you can get really used to it. Now, since we're talking about buttons, the left side has the volume controls while the right side has the lock and power switch. Now, these buttons are really well built and protruded enough to give a tactile feeling when being pressed. Now, sa taas na lang power switch, makita natin yung SIM tray. Now, katulad dun sa OPPO A39s, gusto ko talagang appearan itong OPPO for having the SIM tray to be able to house 2 SIM cards and 1 microSD card, which is actually capable of up to 256GB. Now, mas okay ito kaysa dun sa mga hybrid ones, which is ang ginagawa nila is yung second SIM card slot ay pwede ring microSD card slot. So, the configuration would be either 2 SIM cards or isang SIM card then isang microSD card slot. Now, under the hood, the A39 is being powered by a MediaTek MT6750 chipset, which has a 1.5 GHz octa-core processor backed with 3 GB of RAM and a Mali T860 GPU. Ngayon, performance-wise, this thing is really a trooper. Now, yung mga day-to-day applications ay tumatakbo ng sobrang okay sa device na to, like yung mga social media and sending receiving texts, and of course, making calls. Also, salamat sa kanyang malaking 3 GB of RAM, multitasking is also seamless on this thing. On the other hand, gameplay is also a pleasure on the A39. Yung mga visually intensive games like yung UFC, they all run with comfortable frame rates. While yung mga games naman that are processor intensive, say itong Roller Coaster Tycoon, is playable at decent frame rates. Also, the device has a 32GB of internal storage. Yun nga lang yung 4.5GB nito ay naka-reserve para dun sa system files. Siguro pinaka-nakaka-disappoint na bagay sa device na to ay yung kanyang software. Now, this thing only runs on Android 5.1 Lollipop. Hindi siya nougat or kahit man lang marshmallow. But nonetheless, if yung aesthetics and design talaga yung top priority nyo, then the Color OS plus the Android 5.1 Lollipop will really serve you well. Now, the OPPO A39 has a 13MP primary camera and a 5MP front-facing one para sa mga, katulad yung nasabi ng OPPO, unstoppable selfies. The 13MP shooter at the back can take good photos, but of course, not without its quirks. The sharpness is really on point thanks to its 13 million pixels. Both the colors and contrast is decent. However, medyo disappointing talaga yung kanyang dynamic range. Gumagana rin ng maayos yung autofocus during daylight. Yun nga lang, it gets really confused when shooting in low light. Getting the shot right at low light scenarios is really frustrating as the sensor, or probably the software, is really having a hard time finding the right subject to highlight. The selfie camera, on the other hand, works well for a, selfie camera. This thing has a 1.4-inch sensor that is populated with 5 megapixels. Quality-wise, images taken looks bright, with decent contrast and saturation. Details and sharpness are on point, not until you switch to the beauty function, which generally makes your skin more appealing by lessening the skin marks, resulting to a more soft image. The device can also take 1080p videos at 29fps with 16.9 Mbps bitrate. It also takes stereo audio at 130KB per second. There's a 2900 mAh battery that's powering this device. This battery capacity is very decent for a 5.2-inch octa-core device like this. The device was able to last for a whole day with still some juice left. That's a whole day of casually sending and receiving texts, making calls, and web browsing. Now, depende sa paggamit nyo, this thing can last you until the next day. Pero para sa karamihan ng mga tao ngayon, kailangan mo talaga siyang i-recharge bawat gabi. Screen on time past our 4-hour standard mark. You can definitely play games or stream media on this for hours without worries. And just like most of the OPPO devices that are available in the market today, the OPPO A39 is an admirable and stunning device. Yung nga lang wala siya ng mga bells and whistles na meron yung OPPO F1s tsaka yung OPPO F1 Plus. Pero that's really understandable since hindi naman talaga flagship device itong device na ito. Wala siyang fingerprint scanner or 1080p na display. Pero para sa presyo niya na 10,990 pesos, may ibubuga talaga itong device na to. Meron siyang magandang build construction tsaka design, okay na display, impressive na performance, tsaka mahabang battery life. Yun nga lang, of course, may mangilan-ngilan talaga na compromises na meron dito sa device na to. Una, outdated na yung software niya, so it only runs on Android Lollipop gaya ng sabi ko kanina. Pangalawa, of course, walang backlighting yung kanyang capacitive buttons, which is might sound like sobrang nagninitpick lang ako, pero since staple na feature na talaga siya sa lahat ng devices ngayon, dapat meron na rin itong device na to. And lastly, yung camera niya, I think medyo overrated siya. But overall, the OPPO A39 is a good device. If you're looking for a chic-looking device that has a real muscle inside, then the OPPO A39 is really worth checking out. Again, this has been Patrick Cañete from NetGeeks.com. Make sure to hit the thumbs up button and share this video if you liked it, and also subscribe if you still haven't. Thank you for watching.